One day you're blogging and doing just fine, and that's when you see a graph like this. Now, it can be very hard to take because you're losing a lot of traffic. But actually Google is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you something about what they think about your site. It's not just the excess fluff that you hear people talking about. This is something bigger. This is something to do with the knowledge domain I'm in. Because this graph, you can see I lost a lot of traffic and a lot of impressions. But when you overlay the average position on here, you can see that my average position hasn't really dropped that much. So it's not that Google has decided to give me lower positions for most of my keywords. It's something else. Another cool thing you can see here is when you overlay the average click-through rate, is that the average click-through rate for the keywords I am being found on, that's rising. So this made me wonder what Google's actually trying to tell me about my knowledge domain. What kind of keywords Google is rewarding me for, and what kind of keywords Google is, well, not considering me for. Because that's what it is. And I can clearly see that when I go and look at some separate keywords. So my site is about Japanese food, it's bitemybun.com, and I write about a lot of different topics around Japanese food. I have recipes, I have a lot of articles on substitutes for Japanese ingredients, so anyone in America can make it as well. But I was also being found for like the more general Japanese ingredients. And that's where Google is now trying to tell me they see me in a different knowledge domain. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Because when I click on one of these queries people are searching for, then I get the graph only for that particular keyword. So right now let's look at QP mayo. First I was being found for it, got a lot of clicks per day. And then after the May update, it's not that Google demoted me for this keyword, but they completely removed me from this keyword from the SERPs. So I'm just suddenly not being found at all anymore. So you could say it's like they're demoting my site, but that's not really the case. It's only for certain keywords like this overall QP mayo keyword. But more question related topics like sushi without seaweed, that's more about how to make it. And some options you can make without seaweed. It's more of like a listicle with a recipe. You can see they considered demoting me a bit during the September core update, and then I kept my position on around the first place of Google. And you can see it for other examples as well. I'm still ranking great for something like clear soup versus miso soup, which is a question someone might have when comparing the two. Tea like Worcester sauce, just completely off the grid. So they aren't considering my site anymore for like these more entity type of queries, and I had a lot of them. When you look at last year, for a lot of these queries, there already was an indication that Google was like testing this out, or I may do something with this in another core update, and then they reversed it for a lot of these keywords. So that's when I got my traffic back at the end of last year and all throughout this year. And then with the May update, they finally decided to roll out this kind of thing. And I think it's where they look more closely at the knowledge domain your website is in, or what they are considering you for. So my website is actually fine for all of these recipe articles. So Google considers me in the knowledge domain for recipes, but then all of the entity type of articles, like what is Worcester sauce or the QP mayo article, they're not considering me for that kind of topic at all. So as a fun exercise, you can go into your search console as well and see what types of questions you're not considered for anymore right now. Or if just your overall ranking for all of your keywords got hammered. Now this means I can go either in two directions, focus my site more on all of these entity topics and become like the knowledge base for Japanese food, which could be an uphill battle, because I think for Google to consider me as like an expert on what are all of these Japanese things, I'd have to write about all of them to be considered an expert on this topic. Whereas I already have a lot of recipes and Google considers me already a knowledge base for Japanese food when looking at how to cook it and what type of ingredients you can substitute for. So I could also double down on content like that. I think that's the best quick win in the short term, to just keep writing about recipes and ingredient related things. And I think for the long term and where the real growth of the site could be, that's like in becoming the knowledge domain on Japanese cooking. So what do you think I should do? Let me know in the comments. I'm really eager to hear what you think that my next step should be. Also let me know in the comments if you found something out about your domain. You don't have to give away your domain, of course, if you don't want to. just general information about how your site is faring after the core update would be really helpful for everything watching this video. And if you want to watch my latest income report, click on this video.